Hello everyone, myself Kinjal Patel in Civil Engineering Department at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. Today I will introduce the new subject of a second year, third semester students is Building and Town Planning and subject code is 3130609 and total credits of this subject is 4. So first I will discuss the syllabus of building and town planning. In this subject total 6 chapter. First is introduction to buildings, which includes the types of buildings, components of building, principles of building planning, and orientation of building. Chapter number 2 is building bylaws, which includes standards for residential, public, commercial, industrial, and institutional building planning. Chapter number 3 is elements of building drawing, which includes the planning and preparing working drawing of residential building with scale proportion, layout of public building and industrial building, etc., site plan, floor plan, elevation, and sectional drawing of small residential building. Fourth is elements of perspective view, which includes types of perspective view and software application in building planning and building drawing. Chapter number 5 and 6 is the portion of town planning, which includes the origin of town planning, civic survey, fundamental principle of town planning, components of town, development control for new town planning scheme, formation of slums. Okay, I will cover the portion of building planning and the portion of town planning will be covered by Jaimini Madam. So let's start the portion of building planning. Now start the first topic of chapter number 1 is introduction to building. Okay, first of all, we will discuss the what is building. A building is any structure for whatsoever purpose and of whatsoever materials constructed, and every part of that, whether used for human habitation or not, includes all the structural elements like foundation, masonry, roof, etc., with all the services like WC, bath, stair, etc., is known as a building. So civil engineer have to plan, design and construct the structure. The structure may be building or other than building. So building provide enclosed space or space protected from external weathering for comfortable working or living. So that main purpose of a building is to provide and protection for living and working against external weather like sunlight, cold, wind, heat, etc., and also provide protection from birds, animals, and mosquitoes. So that building should have roof as the main component supported on wall or column. Wall or a column transmit the load to ground or earth by suitable foundation. So that load is transferred from floor to beam, beam to column, and column to suitable foundation. So that the construction and choice of material to be used in buildings depends upon a number of factors. Like first factor is types of occupancy, like residential, building, industrial, etc. Second one is the location of a site. So that the proper site selection is one of the most important steps before beginning construction work. Next is climate condition. Next, availability of material. So good quality construction material such as stone, brick, sand, aggregate, cement, water, etc. should be available to near the site. And the last factor is availability of fund. So next, the components of building. So basically components of building consist of two parts. First is foundation and second is superstructure. First of all, we will discuss what is foundation and substructure. It is the part of structure below the ground level. Is known as foundation or substructure, and it is the part of a structure above the ground level is known as superstructure. Okay, you can see the figure is building structure. So it is the part of structure the below the ground level is known as a substructure or foundation, and it is the part of structure which above the ground level is known as a superstructure. Now next, this is the figure is building components, and the building is classified into two parts. First is substructure and second superstructure. In this figure, you can see this is the ground level. So, below the part of ground level is called substructure, and above the part of ground level is called superstructure. So, all the components are involved in superstructure. So first, starting with substructure. So let's see the portion is foundation of a building, and this foundation is also the part of substructure. Now second part start with superstructure. So first, this is the plinth level and this is the dam proof course, means DPC. So the DPC is a layer provided in buildings to prevent the entering of dampness from the ground to the building component. Now, this is the tile floor and this is tread and riser. And it is the part of stair. So, vertical portion of step is called riser and horizontal component of step is tread, and this is provide for the entry of the building. Now next is door. The door is provide access to the user of the structure, and height of door is normally provided in 210 centimeter. And this is the wooden frame of door. Now next, this is the lintel level, and it is constructed just above the opening, and thickness of lintel is 15 centimeter. This is the ceiling. Now next component is window. The main purpose of providing natural light, natural ventilation and vision. The height of window is normally provided 120 centimeter. Okay. And this is the sill level. It is the part of wall that is just below the window. So this is the sill level. Next is RCC Chhajja. It is provided in outside of the window to protect them from sun and rain, etc. And this is the RCC slab, and thickness of RCC slab is 10 centimeter. Now next is parapet wall, and this is constructed on the periphery of a roof slab to protect people from falling down to the building. And the last component is coping, and it is provided on the top of parapet wall. Okay, clear components of building. Now next, this is the 3D figure of building components, and this all the components are already discussed in previous slide. Next, components of a building. So first, starting with foundation or substructure. You can see the figure is foundation. So foundation is a very important part of a building. It is lower portion of the building, usually constructed below the ground level, which transmit the load of this superstructure to the subsoil. So it is necessary to evenly distribute the entire building load on the soil in such a manner that no damaging settlement take place. Hence, the foundation need to be constructed on solid ground. Second part is superstructure. Okay, so it is the part of structure which is above the ground level is called superstructure, and following are the structural component of a superstructure. First is plinth, second wall, column and beam, third floor, sill and lintels, next door, window and ventilators, next is roof, slab and parapet, next stair and lift, next component is building finishes like plastering, pointing, whitewashing, etc. And the last component is building services like electricity, water supply, etc. So all these components are involved in superstructure. So first is plinth. You can see figure, this is the plinth level. Okay, the part of building between the ground level and ground floor level is called plinth. Okay, a plinth is normally constructed just above the ground level and immediately after the foundation. It rises the floor above the ground level and herewith prevents surface water from entering the building. So the plinth height should be such that after proper leveling and grading of ground adjoining the building for proper drainage, there is no possibility of rainwater entering the ground water. So the height of a plinth should be not less than 45 centimeter from the surrounding ground level. So next is damp proof course, means DPC. This is the figure of damp proof course. Okay, so damp proof course is a layer of waterproofing material such as asphalt or waterproofing cement. So walls are constructed above the damp proof course. So damp proof course prevents surface water from rising into the wall. So dampness reduces the strength of the wall and creates unhealthy living condition. And it also affects the paint and plaster and increasing the cost of maintenance. Now next is wall. This is the figure is a wall. Okay. The wall are vertical element on which the roof finally rests. They can be made of different materials like brick, stone, mud, concrete, block, etc. So load-bearing wall transfer the load of a superstructure to plinth. So wall provide privacy, security, and provide protection against natural elements such as wind, sun, rain, etc. Now next is floor. You can see the figure of a building which provide the first floor, second floor, third, fourth, fifth, etc. The floor are flat supporting element of building. The basic purpose of a floor is to provide a dry platform for people and other items like furniture, store, equipment, etc. So the purpose of providing different floor is to divide the buildings into different levels for creating more accommodation within the limited space. Now next is columns. A columns may be defined as an isolated vertical load-bearing member. Column transfer load from beam to the foundation. Okay, this is the figure of column. Now next is a stair. Okay, a stair is a sequence of a step, and it is provided to afford the means of ascent and descent between the floor and landing. So the main function of a stair is first to provide the means of communication between the various floor, and second that of escape from upper floor in the event of fire. Okay, this is the figure of a stair. Next is a window sill. Okay, the window sill are provided between the bottom of a window frame to protect the top of wall from wear and tear. Okay, you can see the figure is a window sill. Okay, this is the portion is a sill. Okay, next is a lintel. So why are you provide lintel in a building? So the actual frame of door or window is not strong enough to support the weight of wall above the opening. Hence, a separate structural element is provided over the door or window opening, is known as lintels. So basically the lintels are RCC or steel beam provide over the door and window opening for transferring the load to avoid stress on the door and window frame. You can see this is the lintel level. Now next is a chhajja. Okay, this is the figure of a chhajja. Okay, chhajja or weather set are generally combined with lintel of a window to protect them from sun, rain and frost, etc. Regularly, this chhajja, it is made of RCC, but in low-cost house, it is made of stone slab. Now next is a beam. Okay, first of all, what is beam? Structural member which carries lateral or transverse forces is termed as a beam. So the beam transfer load from slab to the column. Okay. Next is window. This is the figure of a window. So first of all, what is window? The window is an opening made in a wall of a building. Okay. So windows are fitted on the outside wall for provided proper ventilation and lighting of a building. Next is a door. Okay, this is the figure of a door. Okay, this is the wall and this figure is the door. So combined figure of door plus wall. Okay, first of all, what is door? The door may be defined as an openable barrier secured in a wall opening. So the main function of a door in a building is to serve as a connecting link between internal parts and also to allow the free movement into the outside of the building. So the size of the door should be enough to facilitate the movement of a largest object likely to pass through the door. So basically Door is provide access to the user of the structure, and second, the air circulation inside the building. Now next is roof. It is the uppermost component of a building, and its main function is to cover the space below and protect it from rain, snow, sun, wind, etc. A roof can have different shape, but it is always either flat or supporting. Now next is parapet wall. Okay, parapet wall is constructed on the periphery of the roof slab so that to protect people from falling down to the building. Okay, you can see this is the figure of parapet wall. Now next is a coping. So coping is provided on the top of parapet wall. So in this figure, this is the parapet wall, and the top of parapet wall provide in coping. Okay, it prevent the entry of rainwater from top of wall and improve aesthetic of the building. Okay, also you can see this is the coping. Okay, clear coping. Now next is ventilators. The ventilator is defined as a small window of a small height provided near the roof of a room for providing ventilation in the room. Now next is building finishing. So the building finishing are used to give protective covering to various building components, and at the same time they provide decorative effect. So the building finishing consists of following item. First is plastering, second is pointing, third painting, whitewashing, varnishing and polishing. Next is coloring and distempering. And the last is building services. So the building services include the service like first is water supply, drainage, sanitation, lighting, electricity and ventilation. So all these systems are involved in building services. Now next is types of building. So according to the National Building Code of India, buildings are classified based on occupancy like residential, industrial, institutional, assembly, storage building and hazardous building. So first one is a residential building. Okay, this building which are used for normal residential purpose and should facilitate activities such as the sleeping, living and cooking, and it includes the one or more family residence, apartment, flat and private garages. Now second is educational building. So these are buildings housing educational institutions such as school or colleges which are affiliated and recognized by an appropriate board, university or any similar affiliation authority. Okay, for example of school and college. Now next is institutional building. So these types of a building consist of buildings that are constructed by the government, semi-government organization or registered trust for specific purpose. Okay, this cell includes any building or part thereof which is used for purpose such as medical or other treatment. Okay, for example of a hospital, nursing home and mental hospitals, etc., which include in institutional building. Now next is assembly building. Okay, these are defined as a building or part which house public gathering for a recreational, social, religious, political, civil, travel or other similar purpose. Okay, for example of theater, assembly hall, auditorium, marriage hall, cinema hall, exhibition hall, okay, etc. Now next is business building. Okay, if a building or a part of it is primarily used for keeping record of business transaction, maintaining accounts, bookkeeping purpose or managing other type of record, then it is classified as a business building. Okay, for example of business building is our courthouses, town hall, offices, city hall, libraries, banks, etc. Okay. Now next types is mercantile building. Okay, this cell includes any building or part of building which is used as shop, store, market for display and sale of merchandise, either wholesale or retail. Okay, is known as mercantile building. Now next is the industrial building. So building used to manufacture, assemble or process product or material are termed as industrial building, which includes the manufacturing unit, assembly plant, dairy plant, etc. For the example of industrial building are laboratories, power plant, mills, industries, dairies, refineries and assembling plant. Now next is a storage building. It is a building or part of it is used for the storage of goods and merchandise, etc. Then it is categorized as a storage building. For example of a storage building are warehouse, cold storage, transit shed, stable, grain elevator, garages, etc. Now last is a hazardous building. This cell includes any building or part of building which is used for the storage, handling, manufacture or processing of a highly combustible explosive material or product which are liable to burn with extreme rapidity or which may produce poisonous or explosion. This cell also includes building used for storage, handling, manufacturing or processing which involved highly corrosive, toxic alkalis, acid or other liquid or chemical producing and explosive, etc. Thank you.